All right, we're recording. Good stuff, good stuff. I am feeling a little bit dusty today. I stayed at a friend's house and we drank a few bottles of wine last night. Went out for dinner and yeah, but what is great is that I am in a fantastic position to I've got a quiet space and a beautiful patio, and it's a good opportunity for me to dive in and do a twin flame reading, which I haven't done in a while. So this is going to be a 2-part reading. I am likely to drop the second part on Sunday. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through the chakras, and I've got my Divine Masculine on the left, my Divine Feminine on the right. That's because I am left-handed and it is my active side. So just trying to get some lemon juice and greens in, get myself back up to a hydrated state. Okay, so let's just start with the cards that I've pulled for each of the chakras. Now, for the Root Chakra, the card that I've pulled is the Heart Chakra. So the messages here, one of the interesting things is, energy sort of moves between our chakra center, and it can be really interesting to take a look at the interplay between where different energy centers are pinging each other. So the Sacral Center right now, which is about our stability, our sense of groundedness, is pinging back to the Heart Chakra. The card says, unflurrying back to love. Unflurrying, F-U-R-L-I-N-G. I don't really know that word. I don't think I've ever used that in my day-to-day life. This chakra card represents love in many forms. It reminds you that everything in life can unfold into love or fear. When unfurled back enough, the foundation of all you seek lies in the universal desire and right to feel love and to be loved. Love heals. God is love. This is the force that will change the world. There's more here, but let's just see what comes out. For the Divine Masculine, we have the Page of Cups in reverse. So this tells me about something not offered, or a love situation or an emotional situation uninitiated, right? Something that essentially something maybe that was passed by, or it could be a rejection of a love situation, right? So maybe Divine Masculines have asked somebody out on a date and they've rejected it, or maybe they've gone on the date but just those loving, bubbly, warm feelings that they were hoping to transpire didn't happen, or it wasn't as romantic as they had intended it. On the Divine Feminine side, we have the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is a card of suspension, like you see in the card here. The interesting thing about this Hanged Man is, like, she's got all of these, it's almost like she's down here, like, working on her magician skills. In the Magician card, we're able to learn and control the elements around us. And so it looks to me that the Divine Feminine is purposely put herself into a state of suspension so that she can work on using her magician skills to elevate the situation or to manifest what it is that she desires. In the Sacral Chakra position, we have the Sacral Chakra card. And it says the core of our creation. Revel in the present moment and feel deeply into your senses. The sensuality of being alive, the breeze on your skin, which right now is so nice. I'm feeling a breeze on the patio. It's probably about 30 degrees already. And this is just such a beautiful, amazing place to be seated right now. The scent of the damp earth, the feeling of aligning perfectly into the temple you call your body. This card is about diving into the depths of the present moment where all your faculties are available for divine creation. And there is more to be said, and I'm planning on keeping these chakra cards as I move into the second reading, which I said that, I'm intending on doing on Sunday, so that we can take a look at the full alignment. This is like a November reading, and for the Divine Masculine at the Sacral Chakra, we have the Page of Pentacles. Now, what's interesting here is that the Page of Cups came out in reverse, and then I have turned it around, and yeah, I would say that this has come out in reverse. Let's flip this around. If that was, yeah, okay, we've got it. I've got it sorted out. So at the Sacral Chakra, we have got this, this really speaks to me of, wanting, as we're coming into Christmas, wanting this sort of happy family, happy gathering situation, people coming together. This also does indicate it, the Ten of Pentacles is a financially stable situation. So it could be that what the masculine is trying to create here, or, maybe what they are creating, or what they're not creating, is this this stability here in regards to finances. But if we relate that back down here to our root chakra, when we work from our root chakra, we want to be unfurling back to love here. So it's saying that, like, one of the messages that I'm getting is that we shouldn't be looking to ascend in a sexual situation for financial or external reasons. And I got this message here, like, this is the Kundalini down here, this snake, and the Kundalini enters the energy travels up the spine, and it comes through the root chakra first. And this is sort of representing that portal that the Kundalini and energy enters. So the download that I've got here is that you can't have a divine connection, divine masculines, if the reason for coming into partnership is about external family pressures, or a desire for financial stability, that the way for the divine masculines to move forward is to be looking for that heart-centered alignment. If they want to have a divine connection, right? There's lots of connections that we can enter into that are karmic, that are there to teach us lessons, but that are essentially not really a divine partnership. So if we're talking about the divine masculine and the divine feminines here being ready for a partnership, a divine union, a sacred union, one where they're able to use Kundalini and Tantra in order to manifest, then the masculine has to be oriented in the right way. And if they operate through the heart center, then they're going to be able to turn this situation around, right? We manifest abundance when we're working from an aligned state rather than a disaligned state. And there is a cautionary tale there that dropped in for me about, when we operate from a place, those karmic connections usually end up completely destroying the foundations that we have. And that was a situation that happened for me in a relationship with a soulmate, but it was not it wasn't a divine union, and everything that I had was taken away from me, and I exited that. I'm talking about literally everything, right? I lost a business that I've been working on for 4 years, and I'm in the process of regaining that business back now that relationship is broken down, and I've got more ability to center myself and come back into my own state of alignment. But I lost my business, my car, all my material possessions, and a lot of time. And I'm not saying that we can't really take back our lessons, right? Our lessons are our lessons for a reason. But that entering into that relationship, and it was largely based on a need for some level of stability for me, ended up stripping me of all the stability that I had already built up over the previous sort of 6 years. All right. On the Divine Feminine side, we have the King of Swords and the Eight of Cups. King of Swords can represent a father figure. So this could say for some people, my father figure says to walk away. It can be talking about somebody who is turning up in the King of Swords energy. It could say that a King of Swords is walking away. It could more likely say that you need to walk away from a King of Swords. Let me flip this Sacral Chakra card over again. So what I'm getting here is, again, this idea of being able to have that tantric element. And because I'm talking a lot about Tantra, because the tantric practices are those practices that, a lot of people think that Tantra is just about sex, but it is about second chakra practices, and it includes sex and non-sex things as well, right? Tantra also includes a lot of breath work, and it connects with our sacral work and our navel work here. So one of these things is saying that in order for the Divine Feminine to be able to have that creative element and that creative passion, and to be able to create for themselves and in their life, that they need to consider walking away from either this King of Pentacles figure, or coming at things from such a logical perspective, right? Because the King of Swords is also, he is our logician in, if we're looking at our 16 different personalities, that is the King of Swords. He's all about his thoughts and working logically, and oftentimes he is in denial of this more creative aspect and creative element. I find that King of Swords people generally tend to discard their creative impulses and their creative powers for their more logical abilities. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but if we want to move from the suit of, our minor arcana, which are our kings and our queens, we need to balance those elements within us, and we need to come into partnership with somebody else that has those elements balanced, so that we're operating from that high priestess empress and magician emperor state and quality. Now, the only cards that have come up in the upright position here, which means that it's not hidden, it's very visible what is happening, is the Divine Masculine cards here on the Navel Chakra. So let's just take a look at the card that we've drawn for the Navel Chakra. The Navel Chakra is about our willpower, our will to do anything, right? It's our energy center. And the card that we've drawn here is healing. And it says, the Lemurians were healers, naturally intuitive and accustomed to navigating energetic-based realities. We all have natural healing abilities that are advanced when we deepen our energetic awareness. When we perceive the world beyond the more well-known senses, we start to receive information and wisdom different from that which stems from the intellect. By tapping into life force consciousness and using this abounding energy alongside focused intention, we realize that anything is possible. And that really is the touchstone of moving in as a divine feminine, as a divine masculine, right? Is breaking from the chains of our 3D reality and stepping more into the fifth dimension, which is the New Earth Kingdom, which is why I called this collective the New Earth Collective. So for those looking to operate, and it's really difficult, right? It's difficult to operate to have one foot in the 3D and one foot in the 5D. But essentially, we are spiritual beings having a three-dimensional experience. A lot of people talk about how Earth is, like, why is it that there's life on Earth and we don't see so much other life in other places in the galaxy? It doesn't mean that there's not spirit, there's not five-dimensional beings in other places in the galaxy. It's that when we want to fix something, we need to get to the root of the issue. And by root, we mean grounded and that element of earth element. And so we're all sort of slapped here, or some of us have been chosen to come here in order to elevate the collective consciousness, so that us earthlings can work through our karmas and our traumas here on Earth, so that we can then elevate our consciousness. And I don't really like the idea of Earth is a soul trap, but we can break free of this limiting incarnation structure here on Earth and have the ability to expand ourselves into other places in the galaxy. And for some of us that are star seeds, we need to do this work so that we have the ability to go home, right? That's all I'll say about that for now. So what we're really looking at here is this, this healing needs to happen in order for there to be the right will to divine union. So for the masculines, we have the 9 of Pentacles and the 5 of Wands. So this is really a challenge about some level of independence. The Nine of Pentacles is the card before the Ten of Pentacles, right? The happy family, the generational abundance, and that level of independence. The 9 comes before the 10. And it seems to me that for the Divine Masculine, there is some level of conflict. As you guys know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, this card for me is often like my neural network card. So this challenge for some of the masculines, or the Divine Masculine aspect of our Divine Feminines, is a mental challenge. It's a mental block, or there's mental conflict here with regards to our healing that is preventing us from standing in this state of independence and independent awareness. And this right now is this is the only thing so far that's flipped upright. So like I said, when the cards flip upright, it is largely a sign to me that it's very much it's very much aware. Like there's awareness there that needs that almost anybody in this situation would be able to see. It's not something that I really have to. Again, nobody would be surprised at hearing that this level of that there's an internal conflict in the Divine Masculine that is preventing that healing, or preventing healing to that state of being able to make their own decisions, being able to have the skills, right? The Nine of Pentacles card is also a card about skills that we have, and skills to make their own decision, and skills to get their own pentacles. For some of these Divine Masculines, it may be that you're looking to upskill for a new job, or there's something here that you're reaching for, right, with this bird on it. And I don't really want to say whether that's a falcon or an owl. I think that was a message more so for myself. Well, actually, we will talk about it, because why not? Like I said, I have 2 indigenous totems, and one is a hawk and like an eagle, and one is an owl, and the 2 are very different. The owl is about protecting your clan, protecting your mom, protecting your the people around you. So I was at a women's circle on Wednesday night, and what usually is our women's circle, it was a co-ed circle this time, but during our the night's activities, and we were sort of tucked away in a really, really nice, safe, warm space. And I just had the intuition to get up and go outside, and I don't really know, probably to have a vape. I don't know what dragged me outside, but what was interesting is a whole bunch of like roadworks vehicles turned up, and they were about to start digging up right in front of the driveway where we all needed to exit. So then I had the opportunity to go down and talk to these guys and say, hey, there's a whole group of people that are here. They're all parked up in the back, and we'll be leaving in about an hour or so. And so this driveway is actually going to be in use, so don't excavate and don't dig up too deeply because it's our only exit from the building. And that's how that active, masculine, intuitive totem presents itself for me, right? Like what made me get up at that exact moment, to go have a vape. And it's like, because I have that owl totem, I'm just naturally led and guided in those directions, sort of, and, to protect the masses. I don't think anybody would have wanted to have to leave their vehicle there and then take public transport or taxi home and then go collect their vehicles the next day. And by me going and talking to the roadworks contractor, they all just knocked off for an hour and a half and waited until we exited the building. And that's how that totem works when it's coming through, and it's when the channel, the navel chakra there, is healed for that type of work. That's how that sort of totem represents and manifests. I hope that story was valuable for somebody, because I am not sure why I was talking about that. It's, again, we're doing a lot of this. For me, is channeling work, and I have no particular understanding as to why that message came up. Now, so just going back for the Divine Masculine, I do think that this is something that most people know that you're working through. I do think a lot of it is a bit about a mental challenge, a mental conflict, to healing your divine will, and having the willpower required to get onto and come into divine union. For the Divine Feminines, we have the Three of Wands card. The Three of Wands card is, she's got these torches here, which are burning for her future potential, right? She's looking out into the ocean. She's ready to go for a surf, and her divine will is sparked and on fire for the future possibility of coming into her divine feminine essence and having that divine union. I think this is the Three of Wands is the transformation into truth card, and this is just a beautiful and fantastic card here for us to have for the Divine Feminines. So one of the messages that I'm getting is to keep holding that torch and holding that flame. But also, she's solo and solitary on this card. And the Divine Feminine needs to be confident and capable of standing in her authenticity and truth on her own, right? Like, without a masculine beside her, divine or otherwise. Especially if you're in a union right now where you know that potentially that it isn't that divine union, and you also know that you're on the path. Maybe, for me, I've got the High Priestess, and I'm coming back. I'm healing from that past relationship that, took away my Empress, took away my business, took away my, my abundance for the future. And coming back into a place where you're working on your own, and you're solid, and you're stable, and you're essentially working independently here, but knowing and having these torches and these flames for that divine union that that is in your future. She's holding her surfboard here, right? She hasn't put it down. She's like, yeah, the wave that I want to catch is out there. I'm going to light these torches for that, so that I can see the future of this divine emotion, the waves, right? The waves, the water element that I want to get into. So I'm like super excited about that card, and it makes me want to go for a surf this weekend. Okay. At the heart center, we have evolution. And evolution says, consider what evolution means to you. Is your evolution about growth, expansion, adaptation, success, or becoming a better version of yourself? Look for ways to flourish in the face of challenge. Break a problem down into its elements. And I'm going to stop there, because I think that is a really valuable thing for both of our divine masculines and our divine feminines to do. So breaking a problem down into its elements means looking at, what are my thoughts about it? What are my emotions about it? Where is my desire leading me with the fire element? And what sort of grounding do I have in the situation? How is that grounding me? How is that solidifying things for me? And so evolution at the heart space. So let's see what else we have in the heart for our divine masculines. Wow. Okay. We have got pride and heartbreak, which seem like two very sort of contradictory energies. The Six of Wands is the card of essentially, it's a lot of times it can be about community, right? So the Six of Wands card is about being celebrated as a masculine protector. It was the parades that the knights would come back after war, and where they would be greeted by the community and honored for going to war or for the conquest that they had. Now, obviously, in this collective, we are very much against war, and we're very much against colonialism. So we have to find a new way of understanding and integrating that level of pride. The Three of Swords here is, and this Three of Swords is particularly heartbreaking. Let's just take a look at what the divine feminine is experiencing here, and I'm going to pull some clarifiers. I'm going to pull this out and separate these cards and pull some clarifiers so that we can dig deeper into the understanding here of how this evolution is occurring. Right, there's all right, let's do what I said I was gonna do. Because there is there's a very big dichotomy here. All right, on the divine feminine side, we have the Three of Cups in reverse. This is, for some, this is about being in a community, right? The Three of Cups is our community card. So, where did we end off here with our reading? Okay. Be creative and consider how you can make it more fun and inspiring. Alternatively, ask how you can learn, grow, and become stronger through what is happening for you. You may be pushed to greater and deeper learnings, and it might be an uncomfortable process, but the strength, growth, and wisdom that come from this journey through the eye of the storm and embodying this knowledge is something no teacher can show you. For the divine feminines, part of the evolution here could have to be, it could be dealing with a third party situation, right? The Three of Cups is our cup of third party situations. It can also be about, feeling like you don't have that community around you that you need and desire, what's in your heart, right? And I am going to pull some clarifiers for the Divine Feminine as well, because, well, this one wanted to come out, so let's just take a look at it. We've got the Devil in reverse. So the Devil card is a card of bondage, but not in a grounded way, right? We can have bondage as in structure and stability, like when two pieces of wood are bonded together, therefore, strengthening that connection between those pieces of wood. That's not the type of bondage that the Devil card represents. The Devil card is also about manipulation, it's about lying, it's about cheating, it's about following cardinal desires. So with the Devil card in reversed here, I think what it's asking the Divine Feminines to do is to look at evolving either through and out of a third party situation, or with respect to that community, to have a look at how the ties that you have to that community are binding you, and not in a positive way, right? Like not in that grounded, evolved way. A friend, after I got home from dinner last night with my mate, one of his friends popped by, and she was very much talking about this. She had also had a couple of drinks, and she was saying how she also is very much involved in this music festival community that I am, and she's like, some of my relationships in that community like almost cease to exist. It's like people have, while we're at the party, people have capacity for love and understanding and connection, and then when they go back into their day-to-day lives, they just lack that capacity. Actually, that was sort of my take on explaining to her why those connections aren't flowing for her back into her day-to-day life. And I said that the people that she's connecting with at those festivals don't have that capacity. They only have the capacity at the festival in that environment, and then when they go back into their day-to-day, they don't have the capacity because their elements aren't balanced. So there is a big dichotomy between how they act when they're in festival mode and how they act in their day-to-day life. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, right? They're obviously reaching and stretching for something that they want to experience in that festival moment, and but they're working through challenges, and we're all working through challenges. And I don't think that is a problem. But if you are looking for this community, this togetherness, the Three of Cups also represents, and it's like joy, emotional abundance, I think the prosperity, and I'll have to look up the other one, but it essentially comes from the Bible, and it's about the fruits of the spirit. And the fruits of the spirit are, I think there's sevenfold. I'd have to crack. I don't have my Bible with me. I'd have to crack it open and take a look at what those are. But in the Bible there's 7 fruits of the spirit, and that comes from having this stability and this groundingness in the heart center. If we want to think of sort of different, I don't know if deities is the right word, but if we want to think of like Shiva teaches us how to strip off the world and connect with our third eye. Jesus teaches us about heart-centeredness and the importance of having the heart channel open. And Buddha teaches us a lot about the Sacral Chakra, right? Buddhism says that life is suffering and that we have to learn how to deal with that, manage that, and work our way through the fact that physical embodiment is suffering. Okay, so let's pull some cards for the Divine Masculine. Let's take a look at this situation here. The 6 of Wands in reverse and the Heartbreak here. If we just pull some words from the cards, right? The 6 of Wands is pride. So the 6 of Wands in reverse is a lack of pride. The 3 of Swords is about like betrayal, like massive betrayal, right? And heartbreak and I guess the thought patterns, right, that surround that. Okay, we've got the Knight of Pentacles here in reverse. The Knight of Pentacles is somebody who is stable. He's loyal. He's steadfast. Steadfast is a really good word for the Knight of Pentacles. Because he's looking at a field where he can sow his seeds and reap a harvest. However, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse can mean like constantly looking for a better field, right? I've got a field right here to sow my seeds and to reap a harvest, but I'm gonna look for better ground. The Knight of Pentacles can be very, very slow and methodical, but in reverse, that slowness towards movement, slowness towards loyalty and commitment. All right, mister, there's no food here. Thank you. Can cause heartbreak and challenges because it's not balanced earth element. It's unbalanced earth element. It's constantly looking for something better. It's not knowing where to sow your seeds. It's it can even be about like taking advantage of loyalty and the stability of others as a way to draw and stretch something out for yourself. Let's see what else we can get. Maybe 2 cards here to connect these two. Because I'm really just trying to understand like pride. The 6 of Wands is such a great card of okay, we've got the 5 of Cups has come out. I said I was looking for 2 cards. The 5 of Cups is kind of a sad card, right? Because like this man here he's throwing it looks like he's fishing, right? it looks like he's throwing something over this cliff here into the water, and he's fishing, but he's not getting the fish that he desires. Look, I'm not sure where this is coming from. This is definitely more of a download than a literal interpretation of the card. So the Five of Cups is typically a card about spilt milk, about bad feelings, and because of those bad feelings, not having the feelings that you want. And we talked a little bit about this in our Taurus full moon readings, which if you're looking for on my channel, I did live because I was having a hard time with the videos processing where I was at. I guess the internet wasn't stable enough for my videos to process. So I just had to do them live. So if you're looking for those full moon readings and you don't see them on the channel, go into the live section. I've done readings for every sign for the full moon, as I said I would. Okay, so now let's separate this Three of Swords card and take a look at what we've got here. We've got a lack of pride, a lack of, this is also a card of winning and celebrating, right? So there's a lack of winning, a lack of celebrating, there's a lack of loyalty, there's a lack of moving towards where our seeds should be sown. And therefore, there's a lack of not having the fish that we want. We're not getting the emotional fulfillment from what we're doing because there is somehow this lack of pride involved. All right, let's see if we can get a card here. I actually want to go back to the Divine Feminine. With this Devil card in reverse here, we've got the Four of Swords. And so, look, the Devil card in reverse can very much mean our ability to move through this sort of devil situation. When a card turns up in reverse, it doesn't always change the meaning, but it means that it's not as much of a blockage as we perceive it to be. The Four of Swords card is a card of resting, but it's not about physical rest, right? It's about spiritual rest. And coming back onto our path. So they used to put these same knights into, before they could become a knight, they went from a page into the sarcophagus, into like a forced retreat from the world so that they could get a download about what their spiritual mission was from God or the universe. And so for the feminines here, the way to move, or the feminine energy, the way to move through this devilish attachment or devilish bondage is to come back into full alignment with your mission and your purpose. For the Divine Masculines at the heart center, I'm going to take these. We've got a bit of a story here. Defending, illumination. The Eight of Pentacles in reverse and the Three of Wands. Okay, so we've got the Three of Swords in reverse. So to move beyond some level of heartbreak, the Divine Masculine energy needs to activate, needs to move out of stagnation into a place where they are happy. They know where they want to sow their seeds. They know what the right field is for them. They need to defend with the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is a card of defense. They need to defend that position. And they need to do that from a place of illumination. This is a wild card in this deck. Illumination is not part of the traditional tarot. So we can use the guidebook here for a reading, but what this is saying to me is that illumination to me is almost like the Magician and the World card. Maybe the Fool, the Magician, and the World card, right? Like the 1, the 2, and the end. The World card is the last card of the deck, and it means completion. So illumination is about the Fool moving into a new beginning, moving into this portal. The 2, the Magician, being able to balance the elements, being able to create what it is that we desire, with the World card, which is having the end in mind. So, and this can be difficult for the masculine, because the masculine does not, until they step into their divine feminine energy, the masculines often aren't able to embody the element of the High Priestess. And it's the High Priestess that has the psychic and intuitive abilities, right? It's the divine feminine is the psychic, the High Priestess, and the divine masculine is the magician, the one who's able to control the elements. So it can be very difficult for masculines to work from that intuitive center. So what I'm seeing here is that the divine masculine needs to defend against his ability to do this, particularly if he's in a position where the people around him, right, the people that should be proud of him, don't honor divine feminine elements in the divine masculine. And that was something else we were talking about last night, like about gender roles and how it can be very difficult for the masculines in a patriarchal society to embody their divine feminine essence and balance their masculine and feminine qualities. This is very much a spiritual path, and what we get pushed up against and what we're force fed and what the powers that be want to continue to push onto us to suppress us is this idea that, you know, we have to be following these patriarchal ideas of what success is and what value is and what manhood is. So the other two cards that we have here are the 8 of Pentacles in reverse and the 3 of Wands in reverse. And so it says to me that being part of this system of oppression for the masculines very much means that they're not working towards and perfecting, which is what the 8 of Pentacles card means, right? It means, you know, continuous work on a skill set towards the 3 of Wands, which is our truth card. The 3 of Wands is the card of, this is what we got for the Divine Feminine, the card that I was so excited about here, about holding that flame of transformation towards what it is that you know with the illumination card here is in your future. So these cards came out in reverse, meaning that this is largely what the block and the challenge is here. So I would advise the Divine Masculines to, and this is causing this very heartbreaking and stagnated situation. And it is causing, with the element of the suits here, the challenge in the logic that's being applied. And that may be why the Knight of Pentacles here is not in the upright position and came out in reversed. Let's see if we can get any other message here for the Divine Feminines with regards to this Three of Pentacles in reverse, Devil in reverse situation. What can the Divine Feminines do to get onto this path? Like, one of the things that we know is, that we've got this strong sense of willpower, that we are hanging here in suspension, that we're walking away from logic structures that no longer, logical structures that no longer serve us here. I have my own ideas. All right. All right. I have my own ideas of what some of this means. I'm just putting these away. We're going to grab those. Okay. So, one of the things that can be very difficult and that I have had challenges with is with our feminines, when you're working independently. So if you haven't come into sacred union, how do you, like, without the masculine energy and without the masculine support, right? Because a divine union is that union that we're looking for. The twin flame union is part of this moving into new earth and moving towards this more spiritually evolved resonant frequency on the planet. And there's a good portion of us that are moving there. Like, I feel, it's growing. Like, we're now maybe about 15% of the general population. So we're about to hit a turning point, and that is going to spiral a lot of other people to turn and to move away from these logical structures and to, get the mass shift in perspective that we need in order to move into new earth and to abandon these old structures. The card that came up on top of the Four of Swords is the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So the challenge here for the feminine getting on their path is about stability, and it can be financial stability as well. So obviously, with regards to one of my businesses, I think I need $17,500 for a license, for an insurance to get a license. And, I've lost 2 business partners from the 5 of us that had started the business. And there is some level of being uncertain whether we actually have or we're willing to give the resources in so that we can move and progress the business to the next level. So for the feminines, I do see, and with this community card, well, that's interesting, right? How did I say? I said we had 5 and we lost 2, and the 3 that are left, we're unsure whether we're interested in moving that forward. So that's very resonant for me. For the collective, what I would say about the ability to obtain that level of security, stability, and so that you can move forward on your path, right? On your divine path. And to call in the right community. One of the things that I'm getting is, prayer to your ancestors and to your star seed, your seed home. Pray for, if you know that you're a star seed, then do pray to your ancestors for a breakthrough in your mission. If we're a star seed, then we're here on earth because our soul family our star family needs this evolution, needs to be working through these karmas, and they will be there to support you. And then with regards to the devil reverse, we have a few cards here. So we've got the King of Cups, which is a balanced, loving, kind, emotionally connected masculine energy, which maybe is something that we didn't get, with our father. Maybe our father figure was more of this logically oriented, my dad has Asperger's and so do I, and my dad definitely falls into this category, right? Like, my father never picked up his divinity and worked with spiritual concepts. And so a lot of what I'm doing is working through some of those challenges for my family line. So I think what we're being asked to do, and the friend that I had dinner with last night is a Cancer, and is very much embodies these he's very sentimental, he's very in tune with the divine feminine, he's very much embodies those emotional aspects that those King of Swords characters can push away. And so what I'm getting here is that to move beyond some of these challenges and attachments here, the bondage I'm just going to move this devil into the crossing position here, is to embrace, find community with men that hold the feminine aspect, because they're going to be able to understand and support you when you're going out and doing this surf on your own, right? They're able to provide that level of community and that divine masculine presence that helps the divine feminine with her stability and her ability to manifest the financial aspects that she needs to continue on her divine path. We then have the World card, the Eight of Cups in reverse, and the Ace of Swords in reverse. So the World card is the card of endings, finality, completions, the ending of cycles. With the Eight of Cups here in reverse and the Ace of Swords here in reverse, walking away, right? We had the Eight of Cups. Let's find out where we had the Eight of Cups card. Oh, it's right here right. So back at our sacral, our creative center, we had the Eight of Cups, and we're walking away from these logic structures so that we can embody that creative potential that we need. And then here we've got that a cycle is ending, this bondage that has been created, this devil energy that entered into, you know, maybe it's intergenerational trauma, maybe it's betrayal trauma from this Three of Cups situation. Not walking away from an untruth. So the opposite of that would be walking away from a truth. This is going to resonate for somebody. I'm not exactly sure who. It'll make sense to the right person, right? So the cycle that is ending is the cycle of not walking away from an untruth. So maybe we need to walk away from that untruth to get to a truth, because the Ace of Pentacles card is a card of right logic and ultimate, like more objective, universal truth. All right, guys, we will continue we'll start with the evolution card here at the Heart Chakra, and we'll do the upper chakras on Sunday. I hope that this message has reached whoever it needs to reach. If you're new and you've just joined, I do new moon readings, full moon readings, and occasionally I will read for the New Earth Collective and do twin flame readings. So please feel free to comment. If you comment, I usually get back to you within a month. Same thing for personal readings. I will be closing personal readings probably the third week of November, so that I have some space and time over the Christmas holiday break. But if you'd like to get in for a personal in the next 2 weeks, do email me and I will get back to you with some questions, and we will book you in for a reading that will drop for you around Christmas, New Year's. All right, guys, thanks for being here.